It's like I live under a flight path or something. Actually, I do. Well, it stopped raining briefly. I'm going to take this opportunity to tell you where you can put your GoPro. Welcome back to Talkie Tuesday. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to take a break in the rain and we're going to talk about GoPro mounts. On the Harley Davidson, because that bike vibrates like a big vibrating thing, it was really tough to get decent video on my Hero 3 Plus. And the only place I could really find that would give me even acceptable video was right on the risers. And actually, after a while, I stopped using the Hero 3 Plus. Carrying a DSLR on my hip was preferred. Still shaky, but it was better. Now with the Hero 6 Black coming out with its image stabilization, I decided to upgrade. And I am completely blown away by the image stabilization in it. And it's really opened up this GoPro world to me once again. Even on the rattle trap that is my Dyna, I found some great places to mount the camera to come up with some of this video. Let's take a look before it starts raining again. Okay, so one of my favorite mounts has always been this older GoPro. I guess it's a roll bar mount. It's a little bit larger, which makes it better to use on the handlebars, which are wider. And I can also use it on the triple tree. Now, one thing you really want to watch out for, and I'm not recommending that you use it here because it is dangerous. It's not so bad on my bike because I don't have that much travel in the forks. But you need to make sure that you have clearance for the travel of the forks and also turning clearance in the back so that you can take a turn and not have the screws jam up against anything on the neck. Super important to watch your clearance. And then we just mount the camera right like that. When you stand your bike up, make sure that this is leveled right. I like to make sure I don't quite catch the top of my fender, and it's that floating forward view. Another thing I'll do on occasion is actually point it down the fork so I can catch the tire spinning as well as the road as it goes by. It's a nice little effect when you can get the lines in the road going right by the edge of the tire. In lieu of mounting it down here on the forks, I was also mounting it up here on the piece that I'm drawing a blank on that holds the, these other things in place. Handlebars, risers on the risers. I was also mounting it here on the risers, and I was actually having to shoot up over the top of the riser to get my face. And then I picked up this thing. This is the newer GoPro roll bar mount. A little different construction, and I really super dig it. So it clamps onto your bar, tightens down here. It's not quite as awkward as the other one. So I can slap it on my bars, tighten it up. Of course, I've just changed the way it points. I'll have to adjust that. And then it simply screws in, and I can have it forward facing. I can turn it around and face at me, which I usually do. And another thing this one will do is actually pivot. So this has pivot positions. So I can actually put it up like this as well and have it aimed at me. So I can be going down the road, have this aimed at me, and just pull over for a minute, just long enough to pivot this around. Little adjustment on angle, and I'm back recording again. Now this does open up some possibilities that I really like, and I haven't played around with them yet, but with it pivoting like that, I should be able to find some other place on the bike to mount it. It would have to be level, but I could actually get sideways shots. I bet I could do it, I just haven't figured it out yet. And I'm guessing with all the little erector set pieces that come with the GoPro, I could absolutely get that angle out of it. Now you can see how dirty my bike is. Another angle that I like to get is if I flip down my passenger peg, and I can put those mounts right on the passenger peg. Now being rubber, it vibrates a little bit, and I haven't really figured a way around that. But with the image stabilization in the GoPro, it's not bad. It's not bad at all. And that gives me a really nice shot down the length of the bike, similar to something like that. Another angle I've played around with a little bit is the rear shot. And what I've got for that is this mounting bracket that actually came in one of the mounting kits for a significantly cheaper camera. But the bracket still lets me do things like this. It's a little bit of a tight squeeze. I kind of have to manipulate it a little bit to get it working. But with a little bit of effort, I can mount that on there, make sure everything is snugged down tight, and I get a great rear view from the bike. It's one that I don't use very often, but it's a nice way to change it up. So those are all the usual suspects. I'm sure there's probably a dozen other places to mount the cameras, and I'm investigating them. I'll figure them out. Again, be really careful about getting up around that fork area. Make sure you have clearance to turn. Don't assume anything that, oh, I won't have to turn that far or anything like that. Make sure you have clearance. It can be very dangerous. And don't forget that that fork moves up and down. Make sure you've got clearance for that, and lots of it. I don't want you to get hurt. Obviously, a lot of the moto vloggers go with the helmet mics, the ones mounted to their chin, which looks like a great place for it. Having an open face helmet, not really an option for me. I do have a mount on top that looks just like that. It tends to catch a lot of air though when I'm riding along, so I don't use it a whole lot. And I'm constantly looking from side to side, so it's very distracting when you're watching the video. Much like a bird screaming while you're trying to talk. Thought I had a side mount too, but that must have been on my old helmet. I just don't look, so it's gone, and who knew? Apparently I haven't used it in a while. So what about you? Got any favorites? If you're a moto vlogger, where can you put your camera? So if you've got other suggestions, let me know in the comments below. Like, share, subscribe. Got some really good stuff I'm working on. I think I can start rolling it out next week. I think. Stay tuned and find out. And I will see you next time. Thanks.